As much as I love this time of year, I'm always reminded of one of the worst memories of my entire life. I've always been an outdoorsy types of person. Any chance I had to be outside, I took it. Whether it was hiking, sports, being at the beach, you name it. If it was outdoors, I was there. Now, back in high school, which at this point was around 10 years ago now, my parents signed me up for this trip with the school. They were doing this camping and hiking program, and we were going to take a weekend trip to the mountains. I loved the idea for a bunch of reasons, mainly because we were getting out of class on Friday. I was able to talk a bunch of my friends into going as well. I was so excited to spend the weekend in nature with my friends and just sort of not care about the world. Friday came and we hiked a decent chunk of this local mountain. It wasn't that bad, and I honestly think the trail was designed for beginners. Around 5:30 we decided to set up camp. There were probably about 15 students and 3 teachers. The first night, my friends and I, who were all sharing a tent, got in trouble by one of the teachers. There was a strict lights-out policy by 10 p.m., and we were still very awake and active at that time. One reason why I was able to convince my friends to go was not just the no-school thing on Friday, but because we could play with our Nintendo DS's in the tent. Pokemon X and Y versions had just come out, and we were all playing together. And if you can't guess, we were very loud playing the game, and the teacher made us turn them off. We were upset, but listened to them, and I didn't sleep well that night. I could hear all kinds of noises outside of the tent. It could have been an animal, but I thought it was the teacher checking up on us throughout the night. The next morning, I was exhausted, but once we got hiking, I got into a groove and felt pretty good again. During the day, one of my friends suggested that we sneak out of the tents at night. I didn't love the idea because I hated breaking the rules, but I just really wanted to play my new game with my friends. Nightfall came once again, and we told everyone that we were hitting the sleeping bags early. It was around midnight, and I was nearly asleep when my friends woke me up to sneak away. I was groggy for a little while, but the thrill and excitement woke me up eventually. I did realize how stupid it was to sneak out in the middle of the woods at night, but I didn't think about it like that. My logic was that we weren't doing anything that bad or illegal, so the repercussions wouldn't be too severe. We walked a good distance away from the camp so we wouldn't wake anybody up. Most of us had a nearly full charge on our DS, so we said that we'd play until the DS's died and then we'd head back. The first 30 minutes were great. I felt like I was making an awesome memory that I would cherish forever. Unfortunately for me, I was about to make a memory that I would remember forever, but for all the wrong reasons. After that first 30 minutes, we heard rustling in the trees, and we all froze. My first thought was maybe a bear, and I was terrified. I didn't know what I would do. A few seconds later, a person emerged from the trees. It was jarring and unexpected, and honestly just weird. He didn't look at us, and he didn't say anything. We were all sitting on some tree branches, sitting in an almost semicircle, and the strange man sat in our circle. The man looked to be maybe in his 40s. He was an average build with mostly dark hair that was slicked back. He was clean-shaven, but most notably he seemed to be wearing some pretty nice clothes. I will say that it was pretty worn and dirty, but it was still a pretty nice outfit for a strange man in the woods. None of us said anything, and we kind of just looked at each other, almost paralyzed. We didn't say anything to the man either. He just sat there on the tree stump, essentially looking down at the ground. We all looked at each other and silently agreed to just get up and make our way back to the campsite. We silently counted to 3 and stood up. And as we stood up, the man stood up as well, but still stayed completely still. He didn't look up yet, and he didn't seem to be hostile. It was almost as if though he was sort of just mirroring our movements. His standing up was the final straw for us, though. We freaked out and decided to run as fast as we could back to the campsite. I started, and everyone followed. I looked back a few times, and I could see that he was lightly jogging after us, at least I think. And this was one of the worst things I'd ever seen with my own eyes. This sort of just emotionless man in the middle of the woods, seemingly chasing after us but not really trying at the same time. And his lack of emotion, even when chasing, was just so disturbing. He never seemed to sprint, and thank God we were able to lose him. At least, We thought we did. We zipped our tents quietly, and we all agreed to not tell anybody. I don't know why. We were stupid when we were kids, and we were just scared that we might get in trouble. We stayed awake the entire night, jumping at every little tree branch snapping and wind gusting. We had never been so happy to see the light of the morning. We hiked out of the woods that afternoon and never saw the man again. Since we're now safe, we figured that we would still never tell the teachers about what happened. We didn't get caught for sneaking out, and we never got hurt by that weirdo in the woods. I wanted to tell someone, but one of my friends talked me out of it. Basically, if I got in trouble, all of us could have gotten in trouble, so they thought it was best to just sort of sweep it under the carpet. And I guess I'm lucky nothing worse happened. We absolutely should have told the teachers, but at that age, the idea of just getting in trouble seemed worse, and now that I'm older, not a fall season goes by where I don't think about that weirdo in the woods.